Former President Donald J. Trump has abruptly parted ways with 5 lawyers handling his impeachment defense just over a week before the Senate trial for his impeachment is set to begin. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Joe the Lawyer. I am your host, Joe Pometto, a local Pittsburgh attorney. I do criminal defense, family law, personal injury here on this channel. I cover legal news, legal issues, and talk about the law in general. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Today, I'm going to talk about the fact that 5 of Donald Trump's lawyers left him just a week before the trial is set to begin. What are the consequences of that? What is going on? What is my opinion as an attorney? Before we dive into the substance, let's engage in our daily ritual, okay? And that is the same time sip. I have here, you guys know it, my favorite beverage. A Diet Coke. Not quite the nectar of the gods, not even a good replacement, but I'm addicted, so it is what it is. Raise your cup, your glass in the air with me. Cheers with me. It tastes better when we sip together. Cheers. Okay, so let's run through some of the facts here of what happened. So these departures of Donald Trump's lawyer include his lead lawyer, Butch Bowers, who was just hired last week. 4 other lawyers were also reported, to be joining, are also leaving, including Deborah Barbier, a criminal defense lawyer in South Carolina. Apparently, one of the issues here, I don't know if this is true or false, but this is what is being reported, so maybe it is just a rumor. Mr. Trump had pushed for his defense team to focus on his claim that the election was stolen from him, one person familiar with the situation said. Also, it's reported that Mr. Trump has insisted the case is simple and has told advisors he could argue it himself and save the money on the lawyers, although his team is not seriously considering this. There's also reporting, it seems like there's some conflicting reporting here that the decision for Mr. Bowers to leave was mutual. Another person familiar with the situation had said, apparently Mr. Trump and Mr. Bowers had no chemistry, a quality that the president looks for, and apparently the president refers to hire lawyers who went on TV and said that there was nothing wrong, something that Mr. Bowers hadn't done. I guess maybe he's more of a low-key sort of guy, focusing on his own personal practice. You know, some lawyers are out there looking for the spotlight and some are not. Everyone can decide what they prefer. Senator Lindsey Graham apparently had helped to line up Mr. Bowers, who is a well-known figure in the political world, apparently. Mr. Trump's lawyers from his impeachment trial last year are not expected to be involved at this time. An interesting part of this article involves Rudy Giuliani. Apparently, sources and part of Mr. Trump's legal team don't want Rudy Giuliani to lead the defense, even though apparently Rudy Giuliani really wants to. The reason for that is they blame some of the current impeachment and Senate trial that are occurring on Mr. Giuliani. Also, Rudy Giuliani could be a witness in this case because he also gave a speech right prior to Donald Trump's speech, and we all know after the speech that was given, the crowd that was there marched the mile and a half down to the Capitol and ended up storming the Capitol building. So he's a possible witness. If an attorney, and this happens in the regular practice of law too, unfortunately, though as a lawyer you're always going to try to avoid it. This situation was a bit different because this was a political rally, etc., etc. But lawyers can end up being witnesses in criminal trials, in civil trials. It happens fairly often. 45 Republican senators last week voted in support of a measure brought forward by Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, calling the trial unconstitutional because Donald Trump is no longer in office. All but 5 Republican senators voted to challenge the constitutionality of the trial. The Senate needs a 2/3 majority, or 67 votes, to convict Donald Trump, meaning 17 Republicans would need to cross party lines to side with the Democrats in finding him guilty. So what do I have to say about these facts? A couple of things. Number one, as an attorney, you have a duty to only put forward claims that are truthful. Now, everybody's out there and says, oh, attorneys lie, blah, blah, blah. Lawyers get a bad reputation. No, lawyers can argue things in their closing statement, or lawyers can put forward theories. However, if they know a witness is going to lie, it is actually within the rules of professional conduct that a lawyer should not put that witness on the stand. Now, if an attorney doesn't know that someone is lying, or they put someone on the stand and that person just starts to lie, there's no misconduct or liability on the part of the lawyer. They didn't know that they were going to lie. It's also possible that the lawyer was lied to the entire time. And so, again, they didn't know that the client was telling a lie. They put the client up there. The client lies. Maybe it comes out later that the client was not truthful. The attorney is not going to have any conduct issues. It is rare for the courts or the law to go after an attorney for putting forth a witness or a claim that turns out to be untruthful. However, like I said, in the rules of professional conduct, an attorney can only put forward truthful claims. So there could be an issue here with these lawyers not wanting to forward perhaps some of the claims that Donald Trump has about what happened during the election. If they believe that those claims are untrue, okay, that they in a way they would have an ethical duty not to move forward with those claims. All right, so that may be what is happening here. On top of that, number 2 is it could just be a difference of strategy. It could just be a difference of strategy. These lawyers may be thinking, look, this isn't the best way to defend this case. We just need to focus on the constitutionality of it and not all of the facts that circled around the election, et cetera, et cetera. And perhaps Donald Trump, who's the client, doesn't want to go that way. He wants to focus on the election. He wants to focus on these claims. So it could just be a difference of opinion and strategy. In that case, also, lawyers can walk away from the case, even though the law actually says when it comes to certain calls on strategy, the lawyer actually overrides the client, because a lot of clients after a trial will come back and say, I didn't tell my lawyer to argue that or to take that strategy. That was the wrong strategy. Well, you know it is now because you lost, and hindsight is 20/20, but the courts have decided that lawyers, more or less, if you hired that lawyer, you went with them through the entire trial, that lawyer more or less is going to have the final call on strategy. So number 1 here, these attorneys may have decided to walk away from the case because they didn't want to put forward claims that they felt were untruthful. And I'm not gonna, I'm not really gonna offer an opinion here on that. I do think that there were some legitimate allegations of fraud, but I also believe that by and far, Joe Biden ultimately won this election. Okay, and any of these small instances of fraud that were found likely would not be enough to overturn the election. So these lawyers may have felt similarly, and therefore they were. They felt that they couldn't go forward if the primary defense was the election fraud. Number 2, a difference in strategy. It just could be a difference of strategy. The attorneys wanted to focus on the constitutionality and have the election stuff to be secondary, and perhaps Donald Trump wants it to be reversed. So, that may be what's going on here. There's also the personality things, the chemistry, et cetera, et cetera. Ultimately, this trial, okay, and perhaps this is more why Donald Trump wants to focus on the election results. This trial is going to be a show trial. It's going to be political theater. You just heard in these stats that 45 Republicans in the Senate voted for the unconstitutionality of the whole impeachment now that Donald Trump is out of office. Given that, this trial, just like the last impeachment trial, has virtually no chance. The last one was even more locked down even prior to the trial. But here, you might have 5, 6, 7 Republican senators who actually vote to convict. I bet that it's not even that high. It's probably less than the 5 who voted in favor of the Democrats on the constitutionality issue. So you may have, it may be around 5, give or take a few one way or the other. So there's virtually no chance of convicting. They need 67 votes to convict Donald Trump in this trial. So what's the point of it? Well, for both sides, the Democrats feel that they're going to prove a point here, right? They want to further damage Donald Trump politically, damage his movement. So they feel an obligation to go forward here. They're trying to prove a point coming from their point of view. The Republicans, or at least Donald Trump, the Republicans aren't going to convict. So Donald Trump is likely looking at this also as an opportunity for political theater. He wants to highlight these facts, which he believes support his case of election fraud. That's what I'm thinking that Donald Trump wants to do. The Republicans, Donald Trump's going to win this trial one way or another, okay, when it comes to the actual vote count. But when it comes to this trial being put on TV and people's perceptions as they walk away from it, perhaps that is the real battle, and that is why Donald Trump wants to focus on the election fraud instead of the constitutionality issue. The constitutionality issue likely helps Trump in the trial itself, but again, the outcome here is almost certainly predetermined. It's just not close enough for us to say it could go one way or another. So I hope you found this analysis interesting when it comes to the attorneys walking away, difference of strategy, attorneys worried about the witnesses that they're going to call and the claims that they put forward, whether they're truthful or not, and then also the differences of personality that Donald Trump seems to prefer. He wants chemistry, wants people who were on TV are likely what led to these lawyers walking away. Oh, one more thing. It's never good to be changing your attorneys a week before a trial. Never good. But with that said, this type of trial, an impeachment trial, the whole thing unfolds within just a matter of weeks. Therefore, no attorney is going to have a tremendous amount of time to prepare regardless. So it's not as big a deal as, say, you had a homicide trial or a big criminal trial, and it's been a year since the case started, and you had one lawyer on the case all the way until 1 week before the trial. And then 1 week before the trial, boom, the client fires the attorney or the attorney quits. That's a huge deal. You got to postpone the case, da-da-da-da. Here, no matter what, whatever lawyers are working on the case are going to be working in a very shortened time frame. Thus, I don't think it's a huge deal that the lawyers that he has or the ones he's going to hire only have a week to prepare. Shoot, they were only going to have 2 or 3 to prepare to begin with. So thank you for tuning in to Joe Pometto, Joe the Lawyer. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share, trying to get to 8,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. I try to be fair. I try to be a bit objective here. Of course, my opinion is going to come out one way or another. But go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, and share. Mostly subscribe, trying to get to 1,000. Thank you very much.